Cody Rhodes just snapped, and what he did to Roman Reigns backstage is absolutely brutal. The American Nightmare just threw away everything he claims to stand for and crossed every line he swore he'd never cross. And what Cody Rhodes did to Roman Reigns backstage at Monday Night Raw proves that even the most honorable wrestlers can be pushed too far and transformed into something dark and unrecognizable. Cody didn't just attack the tribal chief. He brutalized Roman with a steel chair in an assault so vicious and so personal that multiple witnesses say they've never seen Cody lose control like that in his entire career. Before I break down every brutal moment of this backstage attack and expose what finally made Cody abandon his principles to seek violent revenge, answer me this: does Roman Reigns deserve everything Cody did to him for years of psychological torture, or did Cody just destroy his own character and credibility by stooping to the bloodlines level? Drop your answer in the comments, because what Cody Rhodes just did is either justified payback or the biggest mistake of his WWE career, and wrestling fans are absolutely divided on which. The tension between Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns has been building for years through multiple WrestleMania encounters, broken promises about finishing his story, and the Bloodline's relentless campaign to break Cody mentally and emotionally. Roman has attacked Cody's family, questioned his legacy, mocked his father's memory, and done everything possible to get under Cody's skin, while Cody maintained his composure and insisted on doing things the right way through scheduled matches and official competition. But everyone has a breaking point, and what Roman did in the weeks leading up to this Raw apparently pushed Cody past his ability to maintain that honorable facade and tapped into something primal and violent that even Cody didn't know existed inside him. The specific incident that triggered Cody's explosion happened during Roman's opening promo on Raw, where the tribal chief was celebrating his continued dominance and mocking everyone who'd ever challenged him. Roman specifically targeted Cody Rhodes with some of the most personal and cruel insults he'd ever delivered, bringing up Dusty Rhodes in ways that crossed from heel heat into genuinely disrespectful territory. Roman said things about Cody's father that made even hardcore fans uncomfortable, suggesting that Dusty would be disappointed in how Cody had repeatedly failed to finish his story, implying that the American Dream's legacy was being destroyed by his son's incompetence and weakness. The cruelty of using a deceased parent as ammunition went beyond typical wrestling trash talk into genuinely hurtful personal attacks. Quick question for the comments: what's the most disrespectful promo you've ever heard in wrestling? Let me know below, because Roman's attack on Dusty Rhodes' memory might be the worst example ever. Cody Rhodes wasn't scheduled to appear during Roman's promo segment, but backstage reports indicate he was watching on a monitor and became increasingly agitated as Roman continued disrespecting his father. Multiple witnesses say Cody's hands were shaking, his face was turning red, and his breathing was becoming heavy and labored as he fought to control his emotional response. Then Roman crossed the ultimate line by pulling out a photo of Dusty Rhodes, holding it up for the crowd to see, and saying, "This man, the American Dream, built a legacy that his son has spent years tearing down piece by piece. Every time Cody fails, every time he can't finish his story, he dishonors everything Dusty stood for. If Dusty could see what his son has become, he'd be ashamed to call Cody his family." That final insult about Dusty being ashamed broke something inside Cody Rhodes that couldn't be repaired or walked back. According to people who were present backstage, Cody stood up from the monitor, grabbed the nearest steel chair without saying a word to anyone, and started walking with purpose toward the area where Roman would be returning after his promo segment ended. Several wrestlers and staff members tried to stop Cody, recognizing the dangerous look in his eyes and understanding that something bad was about to happen. But Cody physically pushed past everyone who tried to intervene, his singular focus on getting to Roman Reigns overriding any concern about consequences or his usual measured approach to conflict resolution. The attack itself was shockingly brutal and showed a side of Cody Rhodes that WWE fans have never witnessed before. Roman was walking through the backstage corridor, flanked by Paul Heyman and members of the Bloodline, when Cody emerged from a side hallway swinging that steel chair with everything he had. The first shot caught Roman across the back, and the sound of metal connecting with flesh echoed through the entire backstage area like a gunshot. Roman went down immediately, more from shock than damage, but before anyone could react, Cody was standing over the tribal chief delivering chair shot after chair shot with a fury and violence that seemed completely out of character for the usually controlled American Nightmare. Do you think seeing Cody Rhodes lose control like this makes him more compelling as a character, or does it damage his babyface persona? Share your opinion in the comments section. The number of chair shots Cody delivered became a point of controversy, with witnesses reporting anywhere from 12 to 20 strikes before security and other wrestlers finally managed to pull Cody away from Roman. Each shot was delivered with full force, no pulling or protecting, and Roman's body was absorbing legitimate impact that left visible welts and marks across his back, shoulders, and arms where he tried to defend himself. The usual bloodline protection that surrounds Roman at all times was ineffective because Cody's initial attack was so unexpected and so explosive that nobody had time to get between them before significant damage was already done. Solo Sikoa tried to intervene but took a chair shot himself that sent him crashing into equipment cases. Paul Heyman was frantically trying to call for help while staying out of Cody's range, clearly terrified of the unhinged version of Cody that was destroying everything in his path. The most disturbing moment came when Cody stopped swinging the chair and instead placed it across Roman's throat, pressing down with his boot in what looked like an attempt to literally choke the tribal chief. Roman's face was turning red, his hands were clawing at the chair trying to relieve the pressure, and for several terrifying seconds it genuinely looked like Cody might seriously injure or kill Roman before someone stopped him. Multiple large men including security personnel and heavyweight wrestlers finally managed to physically drag Cody away from Roman, but even as they pulled him back, Cody was screaming at Roman with such raw emotion and rage that his voice was cracking. "You want to talk about my father? You want to disrespect the American dream? I'm going to make you acknowledge that you made the biggest mistake of your life. This isn't over, Roman. This is just the beginning of what I'm going to do to you." Roman Reigns' condition after the attack required immediate medical evaluation, with concerns about potential spinal injuries from the repeated chair shots to his back. The tribal chief was visibly shaken, which is remarkable given his usually unflappable demeanor and ability to maintain character even in chaotic situations. Roman's vulnerability in this moment, showing genuine pain and fear rather than his typical stoic dominance, made the attack feel more real and serious than typical wrestling violence. Medical personnel examined Roman on site before determining he needed to be transported to a local medical facility for x-rays and additional evaluation. The severity of the response suggested WWE was treating this as a legitimate injury situation rather than just kayfabe storyline, though the line between worked and shoot was thoroughly blurred. Can you remember another time a backstage attack felt this real and unscripted? Drop examples in the comments because this Cody assault on Roman felt different than typical WWE violence. The immediate aftermath saw WWE officials scrambling to decide how to handle Cody's actions and whether there should be consequences for such a violent assault on another performer. Adam Pearce, Raw's general manager, was reportedly in emergency meetings with WWE's legal team and higher management trying to determine the appropriate response. Some people argued Cody should be suspended indefinitely for the unprovoked attack, while others pointed out that Roman had been antagonizing Cody for weeks and that the attack, while extreme, was understandable given the circumstances. The debate about accountability and consequences reflected real-world questions about how much provocation justifies violent response and whether there are situations where fighting words actually excuse physical retaliation. Triple H's response to the attack was particularly significant given his role as WWE's chief content officer and his personal relationship with Cody. Hunter appeared on camera later in the show looking genuinely conflicted and troubled as he addressed what had happened. "What Cody Rhodes did tonight crosses lines that we don't allow in WWE, regardless of provocation or emotional state. At the same time, what Roman Reigns said about Dusty Rhodes was beyond the pale and unacceptable. I'm left in a position where I have to discipline someone I consider a friend for actions I completely understand even if I can't officially condone them. This is the hardest decision I've had to make as someone running this company." The moral complexity Hunter presented elevated the storyline beyond simple good versus evil into genuinely complicated territory where both parties were wrong and right in different ways. The decision Triple H eventually announced created controversy and accusations of favoritism from multiple directions. Hunter declared that Cody Rhodes would be fined a substantial amount and required to undergo anger management counseling, but would not be suspended or removed from upcoming matches. This relatively light punishment given the severity of the attack led to immediate accusations that Cody was being protected because of his position in the company and his friendship with management. Some wrestlers publicly questioned why Cody got a slap on the wrist for assault when others had faced harsher consequences for lesser infractions. The inconsistent enforcement of rules and consequences has long been an issue in WWE, and this situation highlighted those problems in ways the company couldn't easily explain away. Roman Reigns' response to his punishment decision added fuel to the fire and positioned him as someone who actually had legitimate grievance despite being the story's villain. Roman posted on social media, "So I get attacked with a steel chair, choked with said chair, and nearly killed by Cody Rhodes, but he gets a fine and counseling while I'm in a hospital bed? This is exactly what I've been saying about WWE management being biased against the bloodline and protecting their favorites no matter what they do. If one of my family members did to Cody what he did to me, we'd be arrested and fired. But since it's precious Cody Rhodes, the American nightmare who can do no wrong, he gets a slap on the wrist and everyone makes excuses for him. This company is a joke, and this proves it." The fact that Roman's complaint had legitimate merit despite him being the antagonist who provoked the attack created fascinating moral ambiguity that made fans genuinely unsure who to support. What's your take on Triple H's punishment decision? Was it fair given the circumstances, or does it show obvious favoritism toward Cody? Let me know in the comments. Paul Heyman's perspective added another layer as the Wiseman gave an interview defending Roman while also acknowledging the complexity of the situation. Heyman argued that regardless of what words Roman said, physical violence is never an appropriate response, and that Cody's attack set a dangerous precedent where wrestlers could justify assault by claiming they were emotionally triggered by trash talk. If we allow people to attack each other with weapons every time someone says something mean about their family, WWE becomes a lawless environment where the biggest, most violent people can do whatever they want without consequences. Is that the precedent we want to set? That if you're popular enough and your opponent says something hurtful enough, attempted murder with a steel chair is acceptable behavior? Heyman's argument was logical and compelling, even coming from a biased source, forcing fans to genuinely wrestle with questions about proportionality and where lines should be drawn. The locker room's reaction was deeply divided and revealed fault lines among WWE's roster about whose side people were taking. Cody's friends and allies publicly supported his actions, arguing that defending his father's memory was worth any consequences and that Roman had been asking for a physical response for weeks. Some wrestlers who'd been victimized by the bloodline expressed satisfaction that someone finally made Roman feel fear and pain rather than just taking his abuse. Others were disturbed by Cody's loss of control and worried about the precedent it set, fearing that if the most honorable wrestler in the company could snap and commit brutal assault, nobody could be trusted to maintain professional boundaries when emotionally triggered. The division created backstage tensions that will likely affect relationships and alliances for months to come. The fan reaction on social media was overwhelmingly supportive of Cody despite the violence of his attack, with hashtags like #CodyWasRight and #RomanDeservedIt trending worldwide. Fans who'd been frustrated watching Cody lose repeatedly to Roman and take abuse for years saw the chair attack as cathartic payback that was long overdue. Some people created highlight videos of every chair shot set to music, celebrating the violence in ways that concerned people worried about glorifying assault. The enthusiasm for Cody's brutal attack raised questions about what fans actually want from their heroes and whether the traditional do things the right way babyface can succeed in an audience environment that craves edge and violence. The implications for their eventual match, which seems inevitable after this level of personal violence, are enormous. Any encounter between Cody and Roman now carries the weight of genuine animosity and the promise of violence that exceeds normal wrestling boundaries. Fans will expect brutality, weapons, blood, and intensity that matches or exceeds the backstage chair attack. WWE will need to deliver something special that feels worthy of the build, which means likely booking some kind of no disqualification or Extreme Rules match where both men can unleash maximum violence without normal constraints. The challenge will be topping the chair attack in terms of intensity while keeping both performers safe enough to continue their careers afterward. The long-term character implications for Cody Rhodes are fascinating and potentially transformative. The American Nightmare has built his WWE run on being honorable, doing things the right way, and maintaining moral superiority over villains like Roman. But this attack revealed that underneath the honorable exterior is someone capable of explosive violence when pushed too far, someone who will abandon principles when family is disrespected. This complexity makes Cody more interesting and relatable as a character, showing he's human rather than a perfect hero. But it also creates questions about whether fans can still fully trust Cody's commitment to doing things the right way, or whether he'll continue using violence as a solution when emotions run high. So here's my final question, and this is the one that really matters: was Cody Rhodes' brutal chair attack on Roman Reigns completely justified given Roman's disrespect of Dusty Rhodes' memory, or did Cody destroy his own moral high ground by responding with extreme violence instead of handling things through official channels? And more importantly, do you want to see Cody embrace this darker, more violent side of his character going forward, or should he return to his honorable principles and treat this attack as a one-time loss of control? Get in those comments right now and share your perspective, because Cody Rhodes just changed his entire character trajectory with one chair attack, and where he goes from here will define the rest of his WWE career.